I was feeding fish at my sister's pond and I saw this catfish surface. Look at that mouth on that thing. Anyhow, I wanted to have you draw a fish with me. So I had AI enhance it for me a little bit better so you could see the details. Now take a look at this and see which shape you think is the biggest shape before we get started. Start with my oval here. It could also be two circles here, which would kind of help with that little divot right there, but I'm going to do one main oval and then I'll put a couple loops inside of it, like one circle inside of here and one circle inside here, almost like the horse's body or donkey's body. So that would be account for this area, but it's a little more flattened, like kind of like a kidney bean. Do you see that? It's like a kidney bean right there. Now I'm going to add another circle, which is coming off this. I could show you a basic bones shape of this. It'd be just, it's almost like a zigzag. You see the lightning bolt? Let's see. Zig, 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 zag. So it's like a zig, whoops, zig, a zig, a zig, and a zag. Like that kind of a shape. And then there's an oval here. Now this fish is kind of squashing, getting flatter, so I don't want to get too high with it, even though it looks high. I'm going to kind of make the circle more of an egg shape here because of foreshortening and perspective. This part of the oval, I'll make a regular oval. This part of the oval needs to stay that size, and this part needs to taper. So it's going to get a little bit more of an egg shape, like that. And then this also will be about this size, but it's also going to taper. And not only is it tapering because it's going back in space, but it's tapering because it is getting thinner. And then it has a couple of ovals here for the back of the tail, like this. So there's the very basic of your fish. And I can erase out that one line because it is distracting me. Any lines that are disturbing to you, take them out. If they're not, then leave them alone. Now the mouth, it kind of is cut into this oval and it's on about a 10 o'clock angle, like that. So the mouth is right in here. I'm sitting here and I'm drawing this in one position and stiff, and you don't need to do that. You can turn and you can move your paper if it helps you to draw an oval. You can turn your paper and draw your oval. I'm trying to stay in one position so the camera will catch it. I personally will move my stuff around as I'm drawing. So don't feel like you're stuck like I am, because unless you're filming it. So this is the basic opening of the mouth right here. And it's pretty rough looking lines. Now, this fin comes off of inside of that kidney bean shape. So it's right about in here, and it comes off of here. And it is, if you look at it, you can squint your eyes down and you can just make a skinny kind of an ovally shape like that. And then straight across from it is the other fin. And that is like almost a teardrop or a leaf shape. You can see that it comes to a point right here. So you can change your ovals into different shapes. They're not always going to be perfect ovals or perfect circles. So you're going to want to conform them to what it is you're working on. And the eye, if I look at this one fin, the eye is, let's see, I'm trying to get a connection, just try to explain what I'm seeing. Or if I look at the kidney shape, the eye is like where the bump of that kidney shape is. The eye is below it, right about, let's see, maybe about here. If I go below it, below the bump, oh, right here. Okay, that's about where the eye is. So now we have the basics. I also see a fin here and a fin here, and this one looks a little bit like pointed, kind of a teardrop if I were to draw a whole circle or circle ovally shape there. So now that that's here, it looks kind of ridiculous, but we're going to take it and connect with our contour line. So I'm going to start here and bring my contour line right around. So there's actually a little bump for the, looks like the lips of the fish lips. And I'm going to change the grip of my pencil. And I'm going to come around for that. And then I'm going to come back over his back right here. And there's another fin that's, I want to call it his dorsal fin. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that. And send, that's right through the top of his back. And then I can see the other side of his body. And then I'm going to start here where the lower part of his mouth is. If you're not sure where to place your line, I'm teetering this on my legs. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm teetering this on my legs. It's not as stable as I would like it to be. I'm trying to do this for the sake of filming. But if you're not sure where to put your line, rock back and forth a little bit till you see the ghost shape and ghost line, and then when you feel comfortable, lower your pencil, and then it's going to come up under. I'm looking at this part right here. It's going to come up under like this, and then the lower part I'm going to put in, and I make it a little darker than I normally would. I like to start out a little lighter, and then I'll go in and hit the lines harder that I want to hit. But for the sake of the video, I want to just show you what I'm thinking. And then I'm going to send his body around like this, and then curving around like this. And his tail kind of has like a little, another kidney type bean shape here. And right now it appears to be stiff looking, and it's because I'm focusing on shapes and trying to just make my edges. But as you loosen up more, as you draw more, it's going to become freer. It won't look as stiff. So then I'm going to come in and make the mouth. I'm coming around and just kind of adding a little bit of a hook to it where I see this little hook and the inside of its mouth. Change the grip on my pencil. Looks like it's right about here. So there's his little fish lips. It feels like I can see a little bit under here. I'm going to add a little bit more to that. It looks a little silly right now, and I can also see like the top of his mouth right there. There's a line. Just trying to give you the basics of how I'm seeing it. And it's dark inside here. It looks like he has a tongue. I don't know anything about fish anatomy. I should remember from Mr. Sager's biology class, but Mr. Sager, I can't remember. So I know more about horse anatomy than probably any animal. And then I see like a line here. And once the shadowing comes on, it'll make a little more sense. So I want to make that fin a little bit further out. As I'm going along, I'm adjusting. I can see that I need to adjust, and I can see those lines that are the shape of the fin coming out, coming out, coming out. And they kind of have almost a central point in the middle. So I'm going to try to stay with that. And I'm not real happy with how that looks this minute. But we're going to just keep going. Now I'm going to add the other fin, and I'm going to come out a little bit wider with this one and add the lines. It's just giving it a little bit of texture. And this other fin here, lines. Click on this one. I don't see lines to, and it's getting further away, so as it gets further away, it's going to be a little harder to discern, you know, what kind of textures are in there. The farther away something gets, the less detail you can generally see. Now this tail actually hooks on and around. So hooks on and it goes around my basic guideline that I put in there, and it comes down I might have made it a little too low, and then it comes back and it sticks with that curve right here. And the tail is very dark. So I can go in with my pencil and I can really lay on, make sure it's still in the view here. I can lay on the darkness. It has white in between. Beauty about having a pencil or using acrylic paint or oil paints is you can go in, you can always add the white later. You can add it by erasing it with a pencil or just putting in the extra paint. Watercolor, a little different. So let's just add those lines. And we don't need to be painstakingly adding lines, but just giving the gist of it. You want to have a likeness of it. You don't have to make it photographic realism unless you want to. If you want to, go ahead and do it. And this one, I can see this one fin kind of comes up and comes around like this, and it kind of overlaps like this. And it's very, very dark right here. So I'm going to put in that darkness. I see it very, very dark right here and very, very dark right here. Whoop. Now this fish has, it looks like it has lines that kind of roll through it. So I see a line that comes in like this and it kind of fades, fades down like this. And has a beautiful texture on its body. So the texture is going to be like little dapples, and all I'm doing is giving it the illusion of it. I don't have to do every single one of them. If you want to, have at it. Get in there and do it, but you don't have to. Just, I see basically he's shaded, and I could shade the whole thing and then go back out and erase out the areas that have the lighter spots. Like I could erase out these other areas by just going very lightly. I could also go in and just shade in dabs and dobs of value here. I think this side needs to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to lightly shade it in, and I can add a little more intensity where I think it should be darker. But I think I am going to go in with my eraser and pull out these whiter areas. Gives him the wet look. And I think he's actually a little bit wider, seeing like a reflected light there that was hard to see originally. So that'll help me make him look a little more three-dimensional. And go in and just shade him in. He's darker here, but having it wet will bounce light off of it in ways that you don't expect it to. If it was something that was laying on dry land, you're going to have lights that are reflecting off ambient light that it's going to be bouncing that you wouldn't expect to see. So I'm going to add a little darkness there. I see a little darkness here. I see like beautiful, this is beautiful right here, where it kind of zigzags. That zigzag theme we've got going on right there. It looks like a long S right there. And I can add a little more darkness on his back, just scrubbing it in. Add that real dark where you see dark. We'll still add a little bit of dots. Now his body kind of goes in the roundness like this, a lot like a snake. It goes around like this. It's curved. So you can, when you're putting on those patterns, you want to kind of stay with that kind of a curved order of it. I don't know if you can see, it's curved like that. See the order of those dots? Those little, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like scrubbles. They're little they're dapples. Like if you're a horse person, and I talk a lot in horse terms, like I said, I understand horses more than I understand anatomy of any other creature, and things about horses than any other creature. So if I use horse terminology, I'm just trying to express to you the best way that I can what I'm seeing. So I'm trying to stay in that order, in that rounded kind of order, like that. So it's starting to come to life in that respect. Now this fin right here is just a gray fin, and I'm just going to hatch. Hatching is just making your lines come down, and hatching can go in any direction, but they're just lines that are next to each other. And I'm going to make that darker, make this area darker. The tail should be darker. I'm really going to get in and start pressing now. So it should be starting to look a little more three-dimensional. The fish in water almost ruins the whole shadow effect. You can see that the light is coming from this direction. This will be the lighter area, and this will be the darker. You can see that shadow is cast here. So if the shadow is cast here, that light is coming down like this. You can see that this shape is repeating down below here, and it's getting cast further out, so you can tell which way the light is coming from. So I'll draw the shadow in a little later, but I just wanted to show you this side is going to be lighter, and this is where I can go in and I can erase out to make it a little lighter. And that's the beauty of using graphite, using your pencil, using charcoal. You can always pull that out later. So let me get under here. You can see the shadow that's underneath this fin. I can add a little bit of the shadow under there. You're going to find that when you're working, certain areas are going to move you to respond while you're working on them. Certain areas will tell you to wait. And with pencil, like I said, it is forgiving unless you really, if you did harsh lines like this, it's going to be harder to erase. But if you stay lighter, and when I'm drawing for myself, I will stay a little lighter, and then I'll go in and put in my lines a little harsher as I go along. But I'm drawing for you. I want you to be able to see it. So here's some more scrubbly lines. This is kind of like a, right here, a little bit of a line that kind of comes in like this and goes like this. And getting some reflected light, some highlights, some shadows. I'm going to go in and just kind of scrubble in a little bit more dappley looking. And I will be putting the eye in. I often, a lot of times, will start right in on an eye, but the eye isn't real distinct on this creature. And this one area is very light, so I'm going to pull this out. So the eye's right here. Just a simple little circle and a little dot inside of it. And I'm going to come in and start thinking about the inside of that mouth. I want to make it dark because I want it to look like a place to enter. An entering place is more like a hole, and inside of the hole is darker. Like the outside of the body's lighter because the sun can get to it, but the inside of that mouth is darker because the sun cannot get to it. So I'll add a little bit of, let's see, this part of this mouth has darkness here, showing its lips, like that, and it kind of V's. So I want to give that illusion of going inside. Get it dark so it has the feeling of going in. And then there's a little bit on the lips there. And I want to shadow this a little bit more. I think give it a look of the mouth, a shadow of the mouth. Shadow coming from the top of the mouth, adding a little bit of shadow on that fish also. Shadow under this part of the jaw, I don't know what you'd call it, of the fish. I know they have gills. I think the gills are somewhere in here. I don't know. I know people who know a lot about fish. I don't. I just think they're beautiful. Okay, let's see. So there's some basics. I might go in and outline that mouth a little bit. Not outline, but kind of reinstate those lines a little bit. I think the lines are a little harsh there. To draw better, you need to get quiet, and that's something I'm not doing. I'm talking. So it always gets tricky because I'm talking through it. I'm trying to take you on my path so you can see where I'm going. It's a good excuse when something goes wrong. I was talking. Okay, add a little bit more. I don't like the way that looks. I'm going to come in and reinstate that line. Go around the mouth, up over the top. That's better. Still, I'd like it to look a little bit whiter there. It's fun because the light is reflecting. There's so much interest here. The light's reflecting, so I'm going to pull out some of the light. You can take a kneaded eraser and pull out. If you didn't carve your lines in, you can use a kneaded eraser. I'm using this awesome Dick Blick art pencil that was gifted to me, and I'm loving it. I'm pulling out some of this. Pulling out some of this, taking some of that white, putting some of that white back in. Sounds a little bit counter of what you'd normally think of putting white back in, but I'm just lifting out some of the white. And some of the white in here. There's a lot of white going across the top here, and that's where the water causes it to shine. I'm going to clean up some of this. If you smudge on your paper, you can always erase it out and clean it up. I want to send a little bit of a line here. Darker line here. Some darker lines in here. So our goal is not photorealism here. Our goal is to get the basic shapes, get the basic shadows, have some fun drawing something that we see out in the world. So there's the gist of this. I'm going to put a little shadow under the eye because the light's coming this way, and there is a shadow under that eye. There's this shadow right under here. It makes these lines look a little bit harsher because there's a shadow coming under there. Okay, now that we have the gist of it, I'm going to squint my eyes at it. It's got a nice little dot right there. And fix that shape inside. Now I'm going to add the shadow in the water. I'm just going to take my pencil on its side and just kind of put in a darkness here just so I can see where it would be. Just kind of give it a feeling of it resting there. And then there's a shadow over here. It looks whalish to me. I'm going to go in and add some harsher lines. I want to free myself up and just kind of sketch a little bit. The fun part will be the water where I'm working on right now. Just throwing in some of these shadows that I'm seeing. I want to make this fin a little bit larger. So you can go in and add some of the shadows from the water. I had to change my pencil. It's just sometimes when your pencil ends up getting too dull, you can't work, and that is definitely happening to me. I see the water kind of rippling out. This little creature was coming up to get food. I was feeding it for my sister, and I was feeding, there's a whole bunch of them. I was throwing food, and I'm just going to add some of these lines that are rippling from that fish. And I haven't added its whiskers yet, and I really need to do that. So I'm just going to add some of these ripples just to get an idea of water happening here. And that's where you can have some fun with your lines and just really let them move and flow. He surfaced just enough for me to be able to see him. And they make the water bubble. It's really, really incredible to see. And I'd like my shadow darker than his body, but I'm struggling a little bit to get it there. Let me add his whiskers. Now there's going to be a whisker coming out of his mouth about at this point and then about at this point. And it's going to swoop down. And that's why they call them a catfish. They look like they have whiskers, I believe. It's going to swoop down like that. And then it actually has another line next to it. Now notice I got really quiet when I did that. It's because when I'm adding a line next to another line, breathing is going to throw my line off. When I'm adding a line next to another line, or I have to be real precise, I stop breathing, or I breathe very slow. Now this other whisker goes across like this and out. And then there's another whisker that comes down, and another whisker that comes down and kind of goes out a little further. And I see another little whisker here, another little whisker here. So he's got the basic catfishy look. Now I'm just going to look at it for a second and kind of see what I think it might need. I want to still add those those lines that I'm doing that kind of look like this. If you were thinking about it, it would be like a slinky kind of going back like this. I'm literally drawing those circles. I don't know if you can see me putting that in, but they're round like, well, a lot like a snake. So, and there's part of its body there. And fish are something that a lot of times you'll give someone to draw who's afraid to draw. And you think of a fish as, being a circle for the body and a triangle for the tail, that sort of thing. But there's so much more to a fish, and different breeds of fish have different looks about them, and they're beautiful. And then they have the iridescent quality, and their skin and their scales, it's just they glimmer, and the water added to all that, it's just, they are beautiful and incredible creatures. I just think God is magnificent on all the ways that he has created everything, and it's just fascinating to me. But anyways, I hope that you notice something interesting around you in the world today, and I hope you find a little time to draw it. I want to thank you for drawing with me, and keep on drawing.